Hey everyone, how's it going? David Horowitz here, CEO and co-founder of Retrium. Today I want to talk about the importance of time boxing your retrospectives. Just over the past 2 weeks at Retrium, we launched the time boxing feature on the platform. You can now time box your retrospectives, time box your phased approach of discussion, time box your topics of discussion. It's such a powerful feature and we're getting such incredible feedback from our customers. Top of mind for me clearly is the importance of time boxing. But before we talk about time boxing with regards to retrospectives in particular, let's take a step back and talk about the importance of time boxing as it relates to meetings more broadly. How many times have you been part of a meeting where you sit down at the table, there's maybe 10 people around the room, and the leader of the conversation of the meeting starts off the meeting by saying, all right, today we're going to talk about topic X. And so they bring up some contentious point of discussion, and then someone else chimes in. And maybe that person is the most outgoing person in the group. And you know that once they start talking, all bets are off the table as to when they're going to stop. And all of a sudden, you had an hour booked for this meeting, but you're 30 minutes into the meeting and you realize this one guy has been talking the entire time, has been dominating the conversation. We haven't even talked about anything relevant to why we are meeting in the first place. Sometimes you can spend an entire hour, and when you look back on that hour and you ask yourselves, was that a productive use of our time? Most of the time, when the answer is no, it has to do with the lack of facilitation and or the lack of time boxing. So why is time boxing such a critical part of retrospecting? Well, it keeps people on task. It keeps people talking about and discussing the things that are most important. What do I mean by that? So if you set a time box for your retrospective for the entire meeting of 1 hour, you say, you know what, after an hour is up, we are done. No matter what we're up to, we are done. Of course, this is not a hard and fast rule. If it's 61st minute or the 65th minute and you're deep into an important conversation, clearly you can keep talking about these things. But setting a time box of 1 hour keeps everybody in focused on the topic at hand, knowing that if we start talking about vacations and where we're going out for drinks tonight, you're going to lose that hour and you're not going to have the opportunity to retrospect. But even more important than the overall time box for the retrospective is the importance of time boxing individual topics of conversation. So after you've gone ahead and collectively brainstormed what you're going to talk about, maybe people have dot voted on the things that are most relevant to them as a team, and all of a sudden you have this one critical piece of your retrospective puzzle. This is the most important thing to discuss today in our team's retrospective, and we are going to start the conversation. You set a time box, let's say for 8 minutes, and the team dives into the conversation, and at the end of that 8 minute time box, the conversation is still going on. Now, as a facilitator, you've now exceeded your initial time box. What do? Well, there's this concept of Roman voting, where you can ask everybody thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs in between. Thumbs up means, yeah, I want to keep talking about this. This is an incredible topic. It's really useful. Let's keep going. Thumbs down is, oh, I'm voting this topic down. We're done. I'm done with this conversation. And thumbs in the middle is not really sure, kind of in between. And as a facilitator, if you ask everyone to do that, thumbs up or thumbs down vote, you get a sense immediately of the room without disturbing the flow of the conversation as to whether you should reset the time box for the current piece of the current topic, or whether you should move on to the next one. And if you are going to keep talking about the same one, maybe you decrease the time box now from 8 minutes down to 5 minutes. And then at the end of those 5 minutes, you can do the same. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Should we move on? Should we not? And so on until the topic of discussion is finished. Now, what's so incredibly powerful about that facilitation techniques, about that time boxing approach, is that you could potentially spend the entire hour of your retrospective talking about just one topic of discussion. And that's okay, because what you're asking your team to do is at each critical inflection point, vote. Say, yeah, I want to keep going, or no, I don't want to keep going. But it's the time box that triggers the automatic approach of that Roman voting, the automatic sense of we need to devote as to whether we want to keep going on this topic or not. Without the time box, you'd never Roman vote. You might forget. You might space out. You might not do the Roman voting. So time boxing is so critically powerful in keeping the team focused on the most important things to them as a group. And I can't recommend it enough for your retrospectives. If you haven't tried time boxing the overall retro, or even more so, if you haven't tried time boxing individual topics of conversation, start with your next retrospective. You'll be amazed at how it keeps you focused on the most important topic for your team. With that, that's it for today. Again, I'm David Horowitz, CEO and co-founder of Retrium. We make software that helps you run better retrospectives, especially if you're in a big enterprise or you're a distributed team. We have these out-of-the-box facilitation techniques like Lean Coffee, Mad Sag Glad, and more that you can use to keep your team engaged and productive in your retrospective process. Hope this quick tip helped you out, and good luck with your retros and time boxing. Have a good one, everybody.